And we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to Circuit Stream's Intro to VR with Unreal Engine 5, workshop. Today we're going to be learning the best approach to begin utilizing Unreal Engine 5 for developing VR experiences. Hello everybody. Excellent, great to see you all. I'm your host Brendan, and shortly we'll be joined by your instructor for today, Jerry Medeiros. So before we get into it, I wanted to do a quick audio video check. Please, in the comments, it looks like a lot of you found the comments section. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know. It would be greatly appreciated. Yes, can hear and see. Hello. Hello from Vancouver. Awesome, fellow Canuck. Great. I'm actually hosting from Toronto today, so feel free to share where you're joining us from. We would love to know, who we're reaching today on a global scale. From Boston, Vancouver again, Paris, LA. Holy smokes. Okay, great. London, Edmonton, Canmore, Ireland. Awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome. Great to see you all here. So also wanted to provide just a quick overview of your layout. To the top right of your interactions tab, you'll notice a little bell icon. If there's a lot of kind of notifications going on that are distracting to you, that are, annoying in any way, go ahead and hit that bell icon and it will actually silence all of them. With regards to, the chat section, feel free to engage with other audience members. We also have members of the team here in the audience, so we would always, love to chat. With regards to questions that you have throughout the workshop today, I would ask that you direct them to the questions tab. That's going to help us stay organized and on top of what questions we have and have not answered for the Q&A at the end of today's session. Lastly, there is a polls tab as well. I'm just going to be putting a few polls in throughout the workshop, and that's just to kind of gauge our audience's experience level, as well as make sure that the content that we're providing is good and valuable. So we'd love to hear the feedback there. So I'll start with our first poll of today. That's going to be, how much Unreal Engine experience do you have on a scale of 0 to 10? So I've just published that poll. If you would go over to that polls tab and go ahead and let us know. Just very curious to see who here has used Unreal Engine 5 and who, this is going to be, mostly an introduction for. So I'm your host, Brendan. I am on the education team here at Circuit Stream. I come from a background of investment management and finance, actually, about 5 years. And I'm also, just fun fact, a competitive rugby player who has never broken a bone. So that is, I feel like, a good statistic. I feel like I'm pretty lucky in that regard because that sport is quite violent sometimes. And then your host for today, or your instructor for today, is going to be Jerry Medeiros. He's the head of education here at Circuit Stream. He has an extensive background, over 10 years of experience in the gaming industry, as well as with AI and development. So he has a master's in computer science as well as AI, and that's from the University of Rio de Janeiro, as well as Leibniz Hannover University over in Germany. So what is our agenda for today? So I just want to do a bit more of an introduction for Circuit Stream. It's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes just to give you a better idea of who we are, where we come from. Then we'll move into our kind of main content for the workshop, the intro to VR with Unreal Engine 5. That's going to take about 45 to 60 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes a little bit more. And then from there, we'll move on to, wrapping up, just sharing additional kind of course information with you, as well as resources. So that'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. Lastly, we'll do our Q&A. So that's very important for why we ask that you post your questions in the questions tab. We will do a Q&A, and typically it takes 15 to 30 minutes, sometimes even longer, depending on how curious everyone in our audience is today. So for anyone abroad, if you have to take off early, or if you end up joining a little bit late, then don't worry, we will be sending the recording to all of the registered attendees, and you'll receive that shortly after we conclude the workshop. For anyone watching live, I recommend sitting back, getting cozy, and just focusing on digesting the information that Jerry is going to be sharing with you. Take notes, actively listen, comment, ask questions. When you're ready to start implementing what we're learning today, definitely leverage the replay. It's going to allow you to go at your own pace and just be able to get a lot more done given the live nature of this presentation. So who or what is CircuitStream? We were formed in 2015 when we identified a gap in education specifically for the growing XR industry. Our focus is on providing the highest quality education in XR design and development, as well as for industry-leading tools such as Unreal Engine. To date, we've helped over 45,000, I think that's actually over 50,000 at this point, learners to develop their technical skills around immersive and emerging tech. So we have team members and instructors all over the world who are passionate about accelerating the AR and VR industry. This also helps us accommodate students across different time zones and geographies. David just going to be soaking it in. Lovely. That's exactly the way to do it. So we've also worked with some of the largest organizations in the world, such as Walmart, Lockheed Martin, the US Navy, and many others. We work with organizations large and small, right down to the individual learners. CircuitStream offers flagship courses around programming, XR development and design, as well as for Unity's development or physics engine. And we will be looking to add more courses around Unreal Engine, so stay tuned. Our XR development with Unity course is 10 weeks in duration, consisting of 3 hours a week of live instructor-led sessions. It's a beginner-friendly course for any students or professionals who are interested in adding the fundamentals of XR development to their skill set. The next cohort will be launching July 26th. For the XR interaction design and prototyping, again, 10 weeks, beginner-friendly, and has that 3 hours a week of live instruction. This is for artists and designers who want to focus on immersion, environmental elements, and user experience. Students will learn the process of prototyping for AR and VR, and it's very popular among UI and UX designers, as well as product designers looking to upskill for these kind of emerging spatial computing platforms. The next cohort for that will be launching on July 13th. So either of these XR focus courses are project driven and have been designed to help students break into exciting professions related to augmented, virtual, and or mixed reality. Our newest and most elaborate course yet, it revolves around launching your career as a real-time 3D developer, employing Unity as your main tool for creation. The 24-week Unity Developer Bootcamp is a career course that offers more than 5 hours of live instruction throughout the week, with an additional 5 hours of hands-on learning in labs over the weekend. You'll learn how to code in C#, manage a multitude of programs and resources integrated with Unity, and professionally manage Unity projects. There will also be a multitude of resources and career services students can access to help launch their careers in real-time 3D development. So the next cohort for that will be launching on October 11th. Now you can also leverage the expertise of our instructors for anything Unity, Unreal Engine, and XR related with our one-on-one project support and mentorship packages. These sessions have tons of flexibility regarding how you use this time. It can be leveraged for additional course learning, for troubleshooting and project support, or for learning about topics within XR that may not be captured in our flagship course curriculums. Again, for example, Unreal Engine. I do have a special announcement for today as well. Just given the nature of the workshop today, we will be looking to add Unreal Engine content to our course offerings, and this will begin with our first ever Unreal Engine 5 weekend workshop, which is aptly named VR Game Development with Unreal Engine 5. So this will be beginning on July 16th. CircuitStream is going to be bringing you a live 2-day VR game development course. You'll create your own VR first-person shooter using one of the most powerful 3D game engines available. The course will teach you the basics of VR development by leveraging the Unreal Engine 5's top features. By the end of the course, you'll have a polished, high-quality, high-performance project piece for your portfolio and be one step closer to a potential 3D dev career. So this is going from July 16th to July 17th. Total is going to be 10 hours. It's all live instruction delivered online. You will require a headset that is compatible with Steam VR as well as Steam VR itself. And the price of this weekend crash course is going to be US $199. So the last thing I want to mention is we've also been partnering with some of the most well-recognized universities to offer our courses through their continued education and micro-credential programs. This is helping all kinds of students access our unique set of XR design and development courses through well-established educational institutions. So if you are affiliated with any of these schools listed below, there are opportunities to gain certifications, through these well-established universities. Now, today is going to be an intro to VR with Unreal Engine 5. So what you're going to be learning today is, how Unreal Engine 5 differs from Unity, the difference between Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5, how to use the global illumination tool, which is very, very cool and very unique, how to use VR templates and test out the engine using blueprints as well as project templates, and then how to use unique features like photorealistic scenery, a new lighting system, and basic shaders for VR development. So buckle up. It is going to be a fun and exciting ride. So again, just before I invite Jerry on stage here, it's going to be about 45 to 60 minutes, the main kind of content here with the workshop. This will be recorded and sent to you, should you, and you should already have received any project files that may be associated. Questions should go and be directed to the questions tab for the Q&A at the end of the workshop today. And then otherwise, just sit back, relax, and soak up all this great information that Jerry is going to be sharing with us. So without further ado, Jerry, are you with us?
Am I?
There he is. Yes, wonderful.
Can you all hear me, see me well?
I can. Let's see what our audience says.
You get to see you too, Cash. It's really cool to have you there. All right, nice. So yeah, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be here talking a little bit about Unreal today. Usually people see me talking about Unity. It's gonna be an informative session. I'm gonna go over a couple of things, show interesting things about Unreal 5. So if you don't have Unreal installed, it's not a problem. I'm not expecting anyone to be following along. I'm just gonna go over stuff and show what is cool. I was supposed to be on my PC, but I think you guys are discussing on the chat there that Unreal is very big and it takes time to install. So my computer cannot handle that. I figured it out that if I open a project that is too big, it just crashes my computer. So I am on my laptop that is working just fine. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show all of the projects I was expecting to, but I think we're going to have a good time and see things as they are here as well. So if you have any questions, if you want to ask anything about Unreal differences from Unity, what is possible to do, what is not, I will spend a lot of time in the end answering most of the questions there. So feel free to post them in the questions tab. And let me share my screen real quick here and show a little bit of what we're going to be looking into. So first thing is, we know that, just let me know in the chat if you can see my screen. Can you see this amazing, beautiful, oops, not so beautiful anymore, scene here? So I'm going to be using this thing to demonstrate a little bit of global illumination and what that means, what the Lumen system is and all that stuff. So one of the things that everyone thinks about Unreal, when you think about Unreal, is the quality, right? The photorealistic environments, the reflections and lights and all that. So today I'm going to be showing why this is so cool in Unreal. Just a teaser. I'm going to come back to this scene in a while, but everything that is being happening here is happening in real time. So it's no baked lights, all of those shadows, soft shadows on top of other shadows. I have a bunch of lights here. I have racked lights that comes from the windows. This is something that in Unity, for example, we only need to, or we are only able to do that if we bake the lights. So here, nothing is baked. Everything is happening in real time. I am in a computer, like in my laptop, that is not very powerful, but it can run anyways, and I'll explain a little bit later why and how works. So the things I'm going to be focusing on today, I will explain a little bit of the Unreal environment, how it works, what are the panels, what we can create. I'm going to show a little bit of the effects you can create real quickly. I'm going to go over materials real quickly too and show what we can do there. Then I'm going to explain a little bit of the Lumen system, what this thing is, and what it actually means. And then I'm going to go over the Nanite system too, the mesh virtualization, and explain why those things are game changers and why they're going to be make us create some real stuff like that looks real a lot easier, and make it run somehow in computers. So this is all still very new and in preview, so there are some bugs. The Lumen system is not perfect, and the Nanite system is a little bit weird sometimes. But it's already pretty cool, and they are improving that a lot. I'm also going to cover a little bit of the Quixel bridge and the Megascans, just explain what that is and why this thing is super cool. So bear with me. I'm going to do some demonstrations here, and we can go from there. So before I jump into the scene and explore a little bit of that, I'm going to be creating a scene that is completely empty, so we can see some cool stuff there. I'm going to be creating a new level here, completely empty level, and then let's see how this thing works. So basically, if you're familiar with Unity or with Unreal, you probably see that this is not very different. We have a couple of windows here, and the windows are very similar. So here, this black window is my scene. It's black because I didn't add anything, basically. So everything I add to my scene is going to go here. Here on the right, I have the outliner. So this is equivalent to the graph of the scene in Unity. So it's like the hierarchy in Unity. You're going to see everything in the scene and how they are related to. Here on the bottom, I have the details. So this is equivalent to the inspector in Unity. If I select something, the properties are going to show here. I cannot see anything because I have nothing on my scene. And one cool thing is if I hit Control Space, I have the content drawer here. So this is equivalent to the project tab in Unity. Everything available for me, the scenes, the levels, the materials, mesh, everything are going to go here. This is a very simple improvement, but it's something that I like, because in Unreal 4, it used to just be stuck here all the time. Now you can bring it in when you want. So one thing that if you played around with Unreal 5 and with Unreal 4, you notice that they remade the interface. Like, it's a lot more friendly, it looks better, so it's more pleasant, and there are a couple of other cool things too. So I am in this completely empty scene. I'm going to create a light here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a light. As in Unity, in Unreal as well, we have different types of lights. So you have a directional light that can act as a sun. You have the point light that is like a light bulb. You have a spotlight that can be like a flashlight or something like that. And a rect light, if you want to do like a window or TV, you want like an area light, you can use this one. And we have the skylight that can simulate some ambience. We're going to see that working later. So I'm going to be creating just a directional light here for now. And I will create a plane, something to simulate my, my ground here. So I have this directional light. I can rotate it, and it's going to be influencing the scene a little bit. But to make it more interesting, the first thing I like about Unreal is that creating a dynamic skybox is very simple. So we have one specific type of effect here. That is the sky atmosphere. So if I add a sky atmosphere and I have this directional light here, automatically I have a skybox. So, and this skybox is basically dynamic. So if I rotate this directional light, I can see that it's gonna influence how the horizon works in there. So this is the first cool thing, I think, because you can just quickly move the sun and it moves all of the illumination. And because this is global illumination and it's real-time illumination, this is gonna affect every single thing that exists in the scene right away. So this for me is super cool. We have something similar in Unity too, but it looks a little bit better here. But I can quickly create a scene in there. Another thing I can do here, and this is pretty cool too, and you're gonna see that in most of the games out there, is volumetric clouds. So if I add this component, I have not only the ambience, but I also have clouds. Those clouds are procedural and they're gonna move. So, and they're gonna cast shadows, and they're gonna influence how the sun acts with the whole scene too. Of course, if we go here into the details or the inspector, we can change how these clouds are gonna work. So you can, for example, here define a material for that if you want to make that look specifically. You can change also how high they start and how high they end. So you can basically make whatever you want with those cool clouds in there. And there are a couple more. Another thing in the sky atmosphere here. Oops, is it still sharing? Oh, something is it me? The thing. Back? I don't know what happened. I just disappeared for a while. Can you see me? Yeah, all right, perfect. So Cash said that the clouds would be like 60 bucks on Unity. Yeah, that's true. And the cool thing is it's fully integrated with the engine and it reacts to the lighting system and everything else. So it's not just like a bunch of clouds, but they are procedural and they influence everything else on the scene. So this is pretty cool. And another thing that I like, and I was about to show that, but then it dropped, is that in the atmosphere that is being influenced by the sun is also procedural. So you can change a couple of interesting things here. So for example, how this absorbs the light. And this is a physical calculation. So you can change the atmosphere to the atmosphere in different planets, for example. And you can say that this atmosphere absorbs a specific color. And that's all like simulated in real time. So this can make like very interesting worlds, and you can simulate other planets and things like that. So those are cool things we can do here. Another thing I also want to like to add always is the fog. So you can see that because I didn't create an infinite plane, there is this black area here. You are never able to create an infinite plane because the skybox is procedural. So you cannot just get there. You can add a fog here. There are a couple of types, but the exponential height fog is going to create this fog effect based on the height you are. So basically it ties in with the atmosphere, and then you can have something super cool there. And of course, if you want to make this a little bit bigger, I could. So I could say, for example, it's going to be 2000, and this is going to be 2000 as well. And now basically I have the basis to create my world here. And we can see that this material, although it's very simple, it's already reflecting my lighting there. And all of those things happen in real time. Does that look good? Let me see the chat real quick here. Unity Asset Store takes so much of my money. That happens to everyone. I'm going to show that the Asset Store here, well, it can take even more money, but there's some cool free stuff too. Two engines very designed. Okay, let's keep going here. All right, cool. So this is the basics here, the basic thing we can do. And now we know that we can create lights. I could, for example, create more lights. So if I go here and just create point light, for example, the point light works like a light bulb. So it has a position. I can position that somewhere. And because my sun is there we go. So let me get my point light here and move there, so we can see that it's just like a light that has a position. You can use that for a light bulb. You can change the color. Oh, one thing that I like a lot about the lights is that you can control not only color but temperature in a very easy way. So if I want to make that a warmer light or a colder light, it's easy to do and it looks really good. So this is something that you can do in Unity but not as easily. So yeah, those lights are basically interacting there. One thing, not sure if you noticed this, but if I turn off my light and then I turn on the light, it takes some time to pick up, because Unreal automatically compensates the light exposure like our eyes do. So if you go to a darker place, it's going to compensate. If you go to a clear place, it's going to compensate. Of course, we can turn it off, but by default, it's pretty cool because it adapts the camera, the exposure in the camera automatically, as that happens with like a real live camera and also with our eyes. So basically, that's a cool thing here. So before I go into the cool stuff, the Quixel, let's see a little bit about how materials work in Unreal. The reason why this thing is reflecting light and the reason why this looks like this color is because of the material it has. It's just using the default material. In game development, in real-time 3D rendering, everything needs to have a material. And basically what a material does is describing how light is going to interact with that surface. So basically, if you want to make metal or wood or sand or anything in your work, basically what distinguishes those things is a material. So material tells the surface how it should reflect or absorb light and how it should look like. So basically, everything we create, if we want to give it visual features, we're going to be using a material there. So let me create one thing here, anything here. Let's see, for example, a sphere. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. And it's using the same material, this default material. That's why it has this weird color. But let's create a new material here. So I will just create a quick folder. Oh, I already have the workshop folder. I have this material I was playing around later. Let me delete this, or earlier actually. And let me create one new material here. So when we create a material, I can assign that to any object right away. And now, because I didn't do anything with this material, it just looks weird. It's just basically like a testing ground here. But I can go into this material. And then this is a physically based material. So basically, it's going to try to replicate how the light works in real life. And that's how we change the colors here. So those are the properties we have for this material. So I can say, for example, that I want this base color to be anything. So it could be, for example, just a simple color. In Unreal, they call it a constant vector tree or constant tree vector, which is basically 3 values, RGB. And then we can select wherever color we want. So if I say, for example, I want this to look like this, I can save this. This is the thing about Unreal. Everything takes a lot of time. So if you open a project, if you create a project, if you update shaders, if you bake lights, everything is going to take time. So most of the times you're waiting for something to happen. But there we go. So here I have this material, and we can see that it interacts with the light already. It's basically there doing its magic. But it's a boring material. It doesn't look that good, but we can do a couple more with this material here. So for example, there is this metallic property, which basically I can tell how metallic I want this to look like. So if I create here just a value that goes from 0 to 1, if it's 0, it's not metallic whatsoever. If I add 1 there, it's going to be completely metallic. So it's going to change the way the light is reflected and interacts with this material. I am saving this to see. So you see, like now it's a lot more metallic. So, oh, this is not what I want. Actually, I just want a value. There we go. So let me make this 1. And then we can see here that it changes how this this material is looking like. So basically, that's how you can create cool stuff. If you want it to look like sand or anything, instead of just using a base color, we could use a texture. So this would be a a sample texture or text sample, texture sample, I think. And then I can select like a color that I wanna use here. Not only like a single color, but I can actually select one texture. So you can bring this texture from the website, like online. You can build them on Photoshop. I imported the starter packs here. I'm gonna show how to get more assets in a while. But here I can just search for something. So I have, for example, those cobblestone here, so I can get the color here. And then now, instead of just looking like one single color, it looks like those cobblestone. I could grab a normal map. So basically a normal map is a type of texture that defines a little bit of depth. So it's gonna make those cobblestones pop, even though there's no geometry there. So usually we can find, oops, not here. Just select this guy here and select my cobblestone pebble normal. So we can see that it says normal map there as the type of this. And when I grab it there, now it creates a little bit of elevation here. So there's no geometry here, but the normal map kind of reflects or deflects the light in a way that it tricks our vision to imagine there are things here. We also have roughness. So something that is rough is going to be like more diffuse, and something that is less rough is going to be like more plastic. So we can either use a value here or another texture. So let me grab another texture here and bring, no, not this. The interface change for better, but I'm still used to the old one, so I still get confused sometimes. And I'm gonna get the roughness here. So now the roughness basically is gonna define each piece of this, how it's gonna distribute the light basically. So we can have darker areas, lighter areas, and so on and so forth. So basically that's how we can create a material. If I go back here, now look at that. I have this nice material. If I go closer here, it looks like there is geometry, but actually there is no geometry. And more things interesting we can do with materials. If instead of just using this color, I want to procedurally change this color here, I could multiply, for example, the RGB here with a plain color. So if I want it to be like more reddish or brownish or something like that, I could just get a constant 3 here and change this multiplication. So now I'm multiplying whatever color I have here by black. That's not what I want. I want something like more brownish. And then I can save. Of course, it's going to take time. And there we go. So now I have this material looking a little bit different without needing to work on the without needing to work on the texture itself. So I can just do that. We can also change the coordinates of the UV texture here. So the coordinates, I think it's called text coord, texture coordinate. So this is gonna allow me to change the tiles. So I can make it like bigger or smaller. So the smaller this version or this value, bigger is going to be the tiling there, where I can make it like 2 and 2. So it's going to be twice as small. And then with those things, we can play around with the material there. And that's basically how you make things look interesting. And that's how you make the things look better or look like what you want in real life. The reason why I'm showing you how materials work is because, of course, you can create your materials if you're skilled in that. But one of the cool things about Unreal, especially with the Unreal 5 and the Quixel Bridge, is that if you go into your Epic Launcher, and the Epic Launcher is basically the software that is equivalent to the Unity Hub, it's going to have a couple of things you can use. And inside of the Unreal, you can have access to the Quixel Bridge. So the Quixel Bridge is basically like a big library of materials and models that you can use. So if you're looking for anything, you're gonna find it here. So if I go here into essentials, I can find, for example, different materials. Forest floor, I have here fallen leaves. You have a bunch of different materials you can grab. They're all free. Oh, it signed me off for a reason. Let me log in real quick here. Hope it works. Okay, there we go. So in the Quixel Bridge, you can basically find a bunch of different things. You can find materials, you can find mesh, you can find 3D models. All of them are pretty free, and you can use them in your project to make it look good. And the good thing about this is that when there are improvements, you can update them in your project very easily. So someone asked if it's like the Unity Asset Store. Quite like it. Yes, it's similar. But but the thing is, in the Quixel Bridge, everything here is free. There is an equivalent to the Asset Store, which is the marketplace, and then you have more things there, and not everything is free. But basically, if I go here in the surface, I can find a bunch of different materials. So I want this debris, for example. I can find variants, a bunch of them, and then I can download, and you can download with different qualities. So it depends on the project you're doing. If you're doing something mobile, you could like go for low quality, or you can go for the highest quality. So basically you can download this, and this is gonna bring the material right into your project. It's probably gonna take some time, but you can do that real quick. So that's what the Quixel Bridge does. It just brings a bunch of different assets for you. They're fundamental assets. They are super high quality, and they are ready to go in Unreal. So basically, you are able to use them directly into your scenes. Another thing you can do, if you go here into the Epic Launcher, and then you go into a marketplace, what you have into the marketplace is basically similar to the Asset Store in Unity. You can buy a bunch of things. You can also grab for free things for free. So one recommendation I have for everyone is to every month go here under free for the month. So they change the assets here every month. If you download it, it's yours for free forever. And it changes every month. So yesterday I got this Wild West City. I wish I could show it, but it was in the other computer that crashed. But you can, oh, so Cash says every second Tuesday of the month that it changed. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know. So every second Tuesday, they're gonna change whatever is here on the free for the month. So I'm probably missing some things because I just checked this once a month. But you can go here and get cool assets for free. So I got this Wild West City. It's super cool. I used that to do a bunch of tests, and then my computer crashed. But you can go here and grab free things. Another thing you can grab is a bunch of different assets. So you can go into characters and find characters. Just bear in mind that in the marketplace, not everything is free. So you can see here that those characters, they have their prices. You can filter for free stuff. And the marketplace, everyone can theoretically upload stuff, which means well, not everything is good. So you need to read the reviews and make sure you're going for good stuff, same as in the Asset Store. Another thing that I like about this is that Unreal is not only focusing on the gaming industry, it also does a bunch of architecture visualization. So you can go here and buy high quality assets for architecture. They look pretty good too. And you can find a bunch of other cool things. So one thing you can also do here is go into the samples, and you can get free projects that you can use to start your development work. So you have like game examples, you have architecture visualization, you have live streaming events, things that you can do. So you can also always go here and grab stuff. But the cool thing about this is that if you have the Quixel Bridge installed, you don't even need to leave the engine. You can just go here on Quixel Bridge, find whatever you want, and you can drag that directly into the engine. When you do that, it's gonna do a place. Oh, it crashed. Of course it did. Close without sending, send and close, send and restart. Of course, it crashed. But while it crashes or while it comes back, let me see here the chat what's going on. Sometimes assets aren't for current version. Oh yeah, that's a good tip, Josh. Sometimes the assets are not for the current version of Unreal, but you can update that most of the times with no trouble. All right, it's back. Not in the scene I want it to be back. Not sure if I have the other scene. Probably I didn't save and it crashed without that, but that's all right. So what I was showing here is just that you can go into the Quixel Bridge and bring whatever you want from there. Should I concern about stability during Unreal development? Okay, so David asks, should I concern about the stability during Unreal development? Yes and no. So yes, because it's still preview, they're still working on things. So most of the times it's stable. But my computer is not very good. The other computer I have that is very good, it's failing for some reason. So yeah, it's a me problem. I ordered more RAM memory yesterday, but it didn't arrive on time. So it's just me having an old computer. But most of the times it's stable. It depends on what you do, but it's not as bad. Cool. So another thing that we can do here in terms of bringing assets, and this is another cool thing about the Unreal, is the Megascans and what the Megascan is and what this thing does. So basically, the Megascan is a library of assets, mainly mesh and materials. They are based on real world scan, high quality scan of real world stuff. So if we're building photorealistic applications, you don't need to create everything from scratch. You can just go here and try to find stuff. They're all free, or at least they should be. I haven't seen something on the Megascan that is not free. And the thing is, as they keep improving the quality of the things, you get that into your application as well. So you can just like download one version, and then when they upload or improve that version, you can go there and find more or you can get like updated versions for free. So I'm not gonna risk importing it live here because probably my computer is gonna crash. But I got a couple of things that I think we can check here. So those materials, for example, those are Cyberpunk materials, and I got them from Megascan. So you can see that they look pretty good. Even though I don't have lighting very well configured here, you can just bring them into your project, and that's all free. So you can just use them. Let me see if I have more Megascans here. Let me see if I can see something. No. What else I downloaded? Cyberpunk, I went there. Oh, this is cool too. I hope it opens. I don't think it's gonna open. This is probably just gonna crash, but let me try. So I got like a city or a sample of cities with New York City buildings, and they were scanned. So basically you can grab them and bring them into your project there too. So those are the cool things you can do with Unreal. Out of the box, it provides real-time illumination that works really well. You can download free and paid assets from the Quixel Bridge, and you can get Megascans with a real-time or real-world scan of things. So here I have the cities. So those are gigantic buildings. They are scanned, and you can go there and use them in your projects. So basically, those are real-world scans of buildings. And I got them for free. And you can basically use them to build wherever you want there. So once you're building your project and you want them to look good, you can always go to the Quixel Bridge and look for whatever they have available there. And then you can find cool stuff. So you can go here and you can grab a bunch of different things. And they're super cool. You can also get MetaHumans. We're not going to talk about MetaHumans today, but this is a tool in Unreal that allows you to create realistic characters with animations and all that. So basically, you can go there and grab all those that stuff too. Cool. So let me show real quick a couple of the things we can do with the lighting system in that other scene I had. So let me just find that into the maps here. Real time. So this is the one I had. Let me open that real quick. And there we go. So here I have this. Wait. I need to adjust the sensitivity of the mouse. There we go. So here I have this this room here, this architectural visualization. It looks pretty good. And basically everything, as I mentioned, is running in real time here. So if I disable my lights, so I'm gonna disable the rect lights, you can see how it changes the environment. The point light there is right there. I'm gonna disable that, the directional light and the skylight. I'm gonna disable all of those lights. And you can see that even if I have no lights on anymore, I still have lighting here. And this is because with the global illumination system or with the lumen system here, I have the light bouncing around. So basically it's calculating in real time global illumination. So imagine that the light just bounces around every single corner and you can calculate or it calculates how it should be lit there. So someone said that it still looks good. Yeah, it still looks good because this is pretty realistic lighting, right? It's like calculating the bounces and doing some ray tracing here. And the ray tracing can be done software or hardware. So if you have a graphics card that supports ray tracing, you can have things even better than I can see here. So Josh asked, is the Lumen the same as ray tracing? So no, Lumen is the system, the global illumination system in Unreal. And ray tracing is one technique. So Lumen supports ray tracing, but ray tracing is one technique. And I can come back here and turn on all of my lights again. And then basically, if I move around, I can see how good the things look there. We can see that there are lots of reflections. They all look really good. And this is pretty cool. And that's basically what we can do. So we don't need to do a lot to have the global illumination system running. Basically, in the new projects, they're gonna go here from by default. So if I go here on my project settings rendering, I can change how the global illumination is gonna be calculated. So screen space, there's this bunch of things here. But the Lumen is the default one now for Unreal 5. So if it's a new project, you don't need to do anything. It's just there. And if it's a node project, you can come here and adjust that. And if you want to adjust the quality and make it look better, you can create a post-process volume. So in the post-process volume, we can basically control the global illumination features. So here, for example, you can define the final quality, the final getter quality. So the more I increase this, better the quality of the lighting is going to be. And of course, it's going to be a nightmare for the graphics card. So usually we just find a good threshold here. Same for the ray tracing. So I can define how many times it's going to bounce. So the maximum bounce here can go up to 50 or to 0. This is going to control the quality, the visual quality, how realistic this is going to be. But it's also going to determine how heavy this thing is going to be on the graphics card. So basically, we can control a bunch of things here in terms of reflection, how it works, and all that. So post-processing is another cool thing in Unreal. It's so easy to set up. They have a bunch of effects that just come out of the box. So I can, for example, play around with the saturation or the exposure, the color grading. So if I want to, for example, change the color in the entire scene, I can do that. So there are a couple of things we can do here. Motion blur if it's moving, so we can do a bunch of things here. But yeah, this is this is interesting and works out of the box. Let me change a little bit of bloom here and see how it's gonna affect. So if I add like a post-processing bloom, it's just like making the bright areas even brighter. And this is done after the render. So it's done in the final image. A couple other things. Let's see if there's one interesting vignette. I can do like a vignette in the borders. So those image effects, they're cool. You can explore them later and see how they go. But they also control, the thing is, the post-process volume also control the global illumination features. So if you want to make it look better or not as good, you can just go here and do that. And if I simulate this here, just to do like a final pass on this thing, you're going to see that all of the lights, all of the shadows, they are all running in real time, plus the global illumination. Every single thing reflects and bounces the light around, and it looks pretty good without a lot of effort. And that's basically what we can do in terms of illumination. You can create reflexive materials, you can import materials, but that's all it can do there. Let me just check the chat real quick here. There are a bunch of questions. I'm gonna stop here so we can go over the questions. But just before I finish, now I mentioned strong VR headsets that cannot overheat. We're talking about VR. VR, what about VR? Why isn't talking about VR? Isn't this VR course? Why isn't he talking about VR? Is this a VR course? This is not a VR course. This is a webinar on Unreal 5 and the introductions. So if you want to explore VR, actually, let me show that real quick. It's not that hard. When you're creating a new project, you can create a template. So from the games here, you can create a VR reality, virtual reality template. So this one comes with the the blueprints that you need to make it work in VR. So you have like the controllers and all of the grabbing there. I think someone mistitled the talk. So actually, I think there's a confusion there. We have on the next weekend a short course on VR, and then I'm going to be leading there. It's a 10-hour course, and then we're going to be building a VR application from scratch. But today it was more like an overview of Unreal and what we can do here. So I'm sorry if there was a misconception with the title there, but I think there was some confusion with what we're doing for the next weekend. So we would not have time to go over every single thing VR here. But basically, if you want to do VR, you can just import this into your project. If you already have a project like this one and you want to see that VR, you can also go here into your content, right-click here and click on this Add Feature or Content Pack, and then select Virtual Reality. So this is going to bring everything you want for the VR template here. So this brings teleportation, grabbing and throwing stuff. So basically, you can export this virtual reality template and go over that. But I won't have time to go over all of that today. But you can. It's pretty simple. And if you're interested in joining the course, we can build some more cool stuff there. Let's see. I like looking into UE5 recorders. Are there examples of your projects made in UA? That's a good question. Now that I can come up with, that I can think about, like commercial projects. I have someone. I have a couple of them on my GitHub, but just like experiments. I cannot think about a commercial project. Probably there is. It's just that I'm not thinking about it right now. Let's see the chat real quick here. Doesn't chat. Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Half-Life Alyx was. No. It was Source. No. Yeah, it was not. It was not Unreal. It wasn't Source. So Natalia asks, how would you create a 3D object that you're inserting? Okay, so if you want to create a primitive, you can go to this button here on top, add to the project, and then you go into shapes, and then they have some shapes. So those shapes are the basic shapes you can create. So this is one way. The other way is if you go into the Quixel bridge and you find a 3D model that you like, you can just drag that model too. So that's another way. So you can go here, for example, if you want those rocks or stones, you can just bring them, dragging them. Clicking download is gonna bring them to your project, or you can grab them and drag them. That's another way of doing that. Or if you have a custom 3D model, you can click on import content and bring that from your computer. So you can import from your computer a 3D model, or you can also just drag. If you have like 3D models, you want to drag them here, it works as well. But those are only primitives. All right, cool. So there are a bunch of questions in the questions tab. Before I go there, let me show one last thing here, which is cool about Unreal. Unreal 5. Let me go back here. I'm lost. All right, there we go. So the last thing that everyone that is talking about Unreal 5 is talking about is the Nanite virtualization system. So real quickly, what that thing is, and I had the Wild West to show, but because my computer crashed, I'm gonna show in this scene here. Basically, when we have those modules here, they have a geometry, right? So they have triangles and they have things there. There's going to determine how complex this thing is going to be and how expensive it's going to be to render that. So basically, that's how we determine if a device is going to be able to run a project or not, based on the amount of geometry and other things. But the geometry is going to play a significant role here. So one of the things that is new about Unreal 5 is the way it can cluster the geometry in real time based on the distance from the camera. So basically, if you have a bunch of triangles here and you're not looking into that from very close, or there are things in front of that, Unreal is able to cluster those triangles and to render them in a single batch. And this happens in real time. So with that, it's possible to have very, very heavy and complex scenes. You can get like a CAD model or a very high detailed model, bring that into Unreal, and Unreal is going to be able to cluster that and render that with less triangles. It also does some occlusion culling in real time. So if there is something in front of other things, it can not render the triangles that are here. It just clusters those triangles and it doesn't get rendered there. So this is a thing you can do, and it's pretty cool. So the way we can see that happening, if we go here into the visualization modules and go into Nanite triangles, we can see that this is the only mesh that has these weird triangles being rendered in there. This is because those are the only ones that are being rendered with the Nanite system. So if I want to enable other meshes to be virtualized as well, I can just select them, edit the mesh. So I can go here and edit the mesh and enable support for Nanite here. So there are a couple of options based on the size and the distance this is going to be seen. But just for sake of simplicity, let's see how it influences the scene now. So if I go back into my Nanite visualization and I see in terms of triangle, I can see now that this thing is also being in the Nanite system. And depending on how far I am from the camera and what is in front of that, we are able to not render that or render that in bigger clusters. So here I can also go to Nanite overview and see all of the views at the same time. But basically we can see how it's in real time recalculating the geometry, re-representing this geometry, so it doesn't need to render every single thing at the same time. So for really big scenes with lots of overlap, this is a nice way to do it. It's a nice way to, and you don't need to do a lot of things. It's basically just looking into enabling Nanite for the mesh. And then Unreal is going to do the hard work. Another thing you can do here is see the overdraw, like how much is being overdrawn based on the server position, so you can improve your max, but that's a little bit more complicated. The thing is, within a night, you can have very large modules. You can have very high quality modules, and still render them with some performance there, because it's going to Unreal is gonna just cluster them and reorganize them in a way. So that's basically this. I will stop here, and not sure if Brendan has something to come back with. If so, please feel free to join the stage. And then after this, I will come back and look into all of the questions in the questions tab.
Yes, sounds good. Yep, so I have a few more things to share, a few more polls as well. Just going to share my screen here. So yeah, thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Great presentation. And thank you, audience, for bearing with us. I know it can be very choppy here on Livestorm, so hopefully the recording is a little more clear. But yeah, just wanted to share a little bit more information about our courses. First off, I will post one of our polls. Actually, I have two polls that I'd like to post. So the first one is, would you like CircuitStream to launch an Unreal related course, like something more extensive, something that is, longer in duration, and will be able to cover Unreal Engine to a larger extent, and most likely that would be focused on VR and AR as well. So go ahead and check out the polls tab. The next question I have for you would be, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this workshop to a colleague, to a friend, to anyone else who may be interested in the subject matter? So I have published those polls. If you go to the polls tab and just cast your vote or share your answer, that would be very helpful. And again, we apologize. There must have been a little bit of a mix-up. This is an intro to Unreal Engine 5. I know on our website, the workshop said it was going to be VR specific. I think today we just covered the basics, but certainly we will be, covering Unreal Engine in the future a little bit more extensively. So just a little bit more about our courses. So here at CircuitStream, we understand the value of experiential learning. To give you an idea of what this looks like in some of our flagship courses, here are some of the sample projects our students work on and develop as they learn. So you have creating scenes in Unity. So here's a few of our students that have created sample scenes directly in our course. Whether it's developing interactive AR projects, these were created using AR's Vuforia. So we cover a number of different applications, not just Unity, but many of the integrated applications that would complement or standalone even. You would also learn about C# scripting, depending on if it is the XR development course or our Unity Developer Bootcamp. We also have a short course for C# scripting, where it's basically self-directed, and that would basically bring you the introductory level experience for C#. So getting started, it doesn't have to be a huge commitment. If you're looking to get started in AR specifically and complete your first full AR project, check out our 6-part AR video course, which guides you through the process and workflows of creating your first AR application. Another quick reminder for all of you Unreal Engine fans, we will be launching our VR, and this one will be VR specific, Game Development Weekend crash course on July 16th. And there are limited seats. So if you're interested in saving a spot and unlocking the secrets of UE5 as it relates to VR game dev, you can register on our site. And we'll have, I think Z just shared that on the chat as well. 12 seats left. Holy smokes. Yep, get there quick, folks. Again, it is from July 16th to July 17th. It will be 5 hours for each of those days. It's live instruction. It's delivered online. It does require a headset with Steam VR, and the price is $199 US. Now, for anyone wanting to really expand their XR horizons, CircuitStream has a number of course offerings meant to equip students and professionals with the skills to either pursue their own immersive projects or develop the necessary skills to pursue a career in the XR industry. Our XR Development with Unity course is a live instructor-led curriculum with plenty of avenues for enduring support for both students and alumni. It is a project and portfolio-driven learning experience supplemented with opportunities to acquire an XR industry-specific certification directly through CircuitStream or one of our university affiliates. The course is priced at $3,950, and our next cohort will be launching July 26th. So this launch date also applies to our university partners' course launch dates as well. So each of our beginner-friendly XR courses is structured very similarly. So with our interaction design and prototyping course, you can expect the same project-driven, live instructor-led format, complete with its own specific certification path for designers. Course is also priced at $3,950, and the next cohort will be launching July 13th, as is, again, the case with our university partners. Now, our 10-week XR courses are very much beginner-friendly, so no previous design or development experience is required to get started. Beginners are, more than welcome. One more quick note about our 10-week courses is we have the standalone option, but we're also currently offering a plus package, which includes one of our XR Dev or Interaction design courses, but also our C# scripting fundamentals self-directed course, and 10 hours of dedicated one-on-one time with an instructor, which we recommend using for project support or further mentorship on XR concepts. Finally, our 24-week Unity Developer Bootcamp, which will be launching again on October 11th, and will prepare you for a 3D development career. You'll learn about C# coding logic. You'll build 10 plus projects, including one that is your very own idea. It comes with one-on-one career services with CircuitStream, and then we have industry-recognized certifications that you would also achieve. There's also flexibility around payment plans. So for our international students, we have payment plans ranging from 3, 6, and 12 months. And then for any of our US students, we do have a third-party financier called Climb that we work with. They're an organization that completely focuses on helping professional students fund educational programs. So you have terms of up to 5 years that you can apply for. It doesn't go against your credit or anything like that. It's more of like a soft check, and then you'd be able to, understand your terms that they can offer. So last but certainly not least, I wanted to mention what's personally my favorite part about the education we provide, and that's our CircuitStream community. So it's a great place to network, collaborate, or participate in events like game jams. It's also where the enduring support for students and alumni resides. We have open office hours 5 times a week with our instructors that are available to existing students and all of our alumni. So it is enduring. It's something that you can always feel free to come back and leverage for contextual support. Massive shout out to Arki as well. She's our student experience coordinator who's also mixing things up regularly in there with coffee hours, showcases, and events like Demo Day, where our students are invited to share their personal projects and stories. Also, regarding our community, if you're interested in hearing about the experiences of our students directly from their mouths, let us know. We'd love to put you in touch with some of our student ambassadors who can share their stories and learning experiences going through our courses. Diana and Monday are a few of our student ambassadors who will be happy to connect. Diana is currently an engineer, XR designer, and founder of her very own company called M4 Method. And Monday works in business strategy and innovation for the healthcare sector, and is passionate about XR development and C# programming. And actually, he was recently hired by Bungie, so the studio that produced the famous Halo franchise. If you're looking to get a closer look at course information or our curriculums, you can download the syllabus for any of our courses on our website at www.circuitstream.com, or through any of our university partners' websites as well. If you have specific questions or want to learn more, you can also speak with any of our enrollment advisors. So Stella, Leanne, Roham, Shoshana, as well as Robin is missing from these photos. But yeah, one last thing to mention is that our XR development cohort will be launching. Oh, that is not important. So yeah, feel free to connect with anyone on our admissions team. If you just have any questions, if you're wondering if this is the right path for you, they'll be able to help you kind of understand our approach, our methods of teaching, as well as the content that we cover. Lastly, just wanted to thank Jerry again for the workshop today, as well as everyone in our audience. Thank you for attending. Thank you for asking questions and participating in the chat as well. At this point in time, Jerry, there he is. We'll get into our Q&A section of the workshop and make sure that all the questions that you've asked over the course of the workshop are addressed.
All right. Hello, I'm back.
Awesome. So I organized all the questions just based on upvotes. So if if anyone in the audience goes through there and finds there's questions that you want to have answered specifically, just go ahead and upvote. We can get started.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go over the upvotes here and see what the questions look like. So the first one: does Unreal Engine 5 also allow for deployment across multiple platforms? Yes, it supports most of the platforms. You can do PC, you can do mobile, consoles, and all that. It doesn't support web very well. Unity does support web, but not super well too. But yes, it's cross-platform. Every platform is gonna have their own particular setup, and it can be trickier in one and the others. And also performance, like if you're doing something for mobile, you're gonna need to consider that. But in general, yes, it's a multi-platform, it's a cross-platform tool. So you can build for many different platforms there. That makes sense. Start live answer. So this one has upvotes too. Thank you so far. May you explain AR development in Unreal versus Unity? Thank you. That's a good question, and it depends, because fundamentally, if you're talking about mobile AR, like Android and iOS, what is actually happening is that every platform has their AR kit or SDK. So for Android, you have AR Core. For iOS, you have AR Kit, and then everything is built on top of that. So in Unity, you have AR Foundation and Vuforia and all those things. They're only building on top of that, but that's also possible to do in Unreal too. So the workflow is a little bit different, but in the end, the functionalities are the same. I personally prefer to develop AR in Unity. I think AR Foundation is very friendly. There are a bunch of tools there. Whereas in Unreal, I don't like it very much. I think it's a little bit confusing still. And the version of AR Core, for example, that was available for Unreal the last time I checked was really old. Not sure if they updated. I haven't tried it a lot more, but I personally prefer, and that's a personal preference, I prefer developing AR in Unity. But you can do anything in both, basically, because what matters in the end is the SDK. So either Unreal or Unity, they're going to have wrappers around, but what you do in one, you can do in the other. It's just that the workflows are different. I think Unity is easier to develop for AR, but that's just me. I think there's a workshop on AR in Unity or in Unreal I did ages ago. It was Unreal 4. It's probably on the website, but it's not as easy as in Unity. So there is this question here. Do we know if the VR sim in UE5 can be previewed without a headset and play in first person on PC? Yes, kinda. So yes, you can go around the world and you can use some sims in there. The experience is not the same because in VR, you need to have the controllers and grab things and throw, and the movements are very specific. So if you're like climbing a stair, or I don't know, like grabbing and throwing things with your hands in VR, that's not the same as doing that in third person or first person. but it's possible. It's just not the same experience. But if we're considering joining the workshop, for example, you're not going to be able to experience 100% of the things, but you're going to learn a lot and have your scene. So we're going to be spending a lot of time on Unreal, building worlds using the sculpt tools, creating materials, water, adding bodies of water, oceans, lakes, things like that. You don't need VR for that. We're going to be learning a lot of the blueprint systems to create behaviors, physics, all that. So you're going to have a lot to do. And a couple of things rely a lot on the headset. So it would be great to have one, but that is connected, that works. But if not, it's not a big deal. We can make that work. See here.
Next question from Chelsea. So can you tell us about the applications for VR in meetings or metaverse social spaces?
That's a good, interesting question. Can you tell us about the applications for VR in meeting, metaverse, social spaces? We are in early stages of whatever they're calling metaverse and all that. But I think VR is very important to whatever metaverse is, to create this persistent, real-time social environment, even if we call that something else. So there are really cool applications like Outspace VR and Spatial, even the Horizon, which is not so cool, but it's there, where you can have some kind of social interaction that is better than just like Zoom, for example. But I think VR is going to play a huge role in this new version of the internet or whatever it is, because we can go places, we can meet people, you can visit worlds and all that. So I think VR in general is going to play a huge role in this thing. If you're working, or if you're talking specifically about what Unreal can do, then it depends, because I think like the engine is just a medium. It depends on the content, like what you actually want to provide. So if you want to provide like a very realistic world, okay, Unreal can help with that. The multiplayer in Unreal is a lot easier to do. So if you were doing like a VR chat or a multiplayer game, probably that's easier to do and quicker to create in Unreal than in Unity. But I think the functionality and the experience is a lot more important than the tool. So it depends on what we're doing and the fidelity you need in there. But either way, I think it plays a huge role, because whatever people are calling the metaverse, it relies on real-time 3D, right? Like it's fundamentally 3D, it's social. So the engines help a lot creating content for that, but the content is more important than the tool. I love building words for Outspace VR. Would also love to know about any similar platforms based on, oh, you know that you can build stuff in Unity and bring that into Outspace VR. That's not something I know how to do, never done that, but our alumni, I think Diana does that, Andrew did that a couple of times. So if you want to connect in our community and talk to the people that are doing that, I know they build stuff in Unity and import that into Outspace VR. Not something I have done myself, but it's possible. I've seen cool stuff there. But that's not my, like I never built a word. Oh, I created very simple words there just with the things they have, but I didn't dive in.
I'm thinking eventually like e-commerce is going to be the next major like topic or subject with regards to VR, but we haven't seen that, I guess, fully utilized or really explored in a quality kind of way, I guess. Great question, Chelsea. So next question, not specifically VR, but what is the best way to share Unreal projects and make them accessible to a broader audience? I know later versions of Unreal don't support WebGL.
Yes, that's a really good question. And that's a complex one because it depends on your project. But most of the times it's going to be either a build that people download and install, or it's going to be an app that they go into the App Store and download and install. So I know it's not the most accessible way because people need to download and install things, and it takes time and takes space. So it's not as easy to share. But for applications that we create in Unreal and even in Unity, that's the way. Like, it depends on your target audience. It depends on your target device. If it's a mobile app, you're going to publish that on the stores. People go there and download. If it's a PC-based application, you need to make a way to distribute that to people. So you could, for example, upload that to itch.io or SideQuest or one of those platforms there, make it a little bit more discoverable and accessible. But in general, it's very hard. You need to know your audience and your application and see where it goes. But those are usually the ways, like something people install in your computer that they can find in itch.io. If it's a big game, we still have like CD distribution. People still go there and buy physical media. So that's another way, very complicated. But yeah, WebGL is not super well developed, even in Unity. Unity supports it, but it's not perfect. And you need to make that link get to people anyways, right? So WebGL is a little bit more straightforward because you don't need to install stuff. But yeah, people still need to find your link. So this is a good question. It depends. It depends on your audience. Like, broader audience is hard to reach. Like, you need to have a target audience and then focus on that specific audience.
Great. Thank you for the insight. Next question is from Natalia. What programs are used to build textures and 3D objects like the ones you showed on the marketplace and to download buildings,
Nice.
environment type of things?
That's a really, really good question. So there are a couple of them. To build 3D models, you need to have a modeling software. So you can use Blender, which is free. You can use Maya, Cinema 4D. There are lots of them. I think the ones people have been using more are 3D Studio Max, Maya, Blender. So those you use to create the modules. You can use ZBrush to sculpt and then export a module. And for the textures, you can use any texture. Like, you can use Photoshop, for example. There is Substance Painter, which is a software for you just to paint materials and then use that. So this is a way. You need to have like an external software. The ones on Megascan, they are actually photogrammetry. They are like scans, like they have hardware that they go into a place and scan something, and then that brings the mesh and the structure, and then they paint on top of that. But usually most of those modules, they're going to be built in Blender, Maya, 3D Studio, and painted in Substance Painter or in Photoshop. So those are the softwares you use. The engines provide a little bit of flexibility on that. Like in Unreal, you can paint, but it's not as good. So professionals don't do that. They usually have their own softwares that they use, either Maya, Blender, 3ds, and that's it. So you can look into those, and that's how people do it.
Wonderful. Yeah, great question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, most of the times, like, there are other techniques. There's like procedural generation. So with artificial intelligence evolving, now there are other ways of doing that you just describe and it appears, or you can scan just using your mobile phone. For example, Epic, they have one application. The name is Reality Scan. So it's in preview. I have it on my phone. You can just go and scan stuff, and then you can bring that into Unreal. So this is still like early stages, but it's evolving. So traditionally what people do is they go into modeling softwares and they do that from scratch, but it's evolving. It's getting easier and easier.
Okay, wonderful. Next question. Here's a familiar name from Sonia. So what about Mac on Unreal and Unreal?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have a Mac, but Unreal is supported on Mac, so you can use it. I just don't know the details, like how bad it's going to be or what types of problems we're going to have, because I don't work on a Mac every day, but it's supported. So you can download Unreal and install that on a Mac. I just don't know what kind of problems you're going to have. You're going to have problems for sure. I just don't know which ones. Mac is an interesting platform, right? Because it's good if you are doing Mac stuff and iOS stuff, but everything else you always find problems. Like Unity and Oculus, VR development in a Mac is a very complicated thing. If you go to HoloLens, for example, it's not even supported, so it's a nightmare. So it depends. But in general, with Unreal and Unity for basic stuff you can do. And someone is saying here, Unreal 5 works very well on M1 and M2 Macs. That's good to know. I don't have a Mac, but I know it works. I just don't know what problems we're going to have. It's fast, only crashes once a day. Well, once a day is not that bad.
That's not too shabby. Yeah, there needs to be like an Apple game engine.
Yeah, even
Then
global
it would.
illumination with Lumen works. Okay, cool. I don't have a Mac to test it myself, but people in the audience are saying it's good. It works really well.
Yeah, I think especially the more recent hardware they're putting out, it comes pretty standard with solid internals. So
Yeah.
don't foresee any massive problems there. Next question is from Carlos. So is there a big difference between C# and C++, since Unreal uses C++?
Yes, there is a big difference. They're completely different languages. So the thing is, if you know logic, you know how to structure a problem and code, you're not gonna have like a hard time learning a different language. But C++ is a lot worse, in my opinion, than C#. C# is very forgiving. It's neat. The syntax looks good. You don't need to deal with pointers and memory allocation and all that. Whereas in C++, it's very intensive. So C++, you need to deal with things that C# just does for you out of the box. So they are both object-oriented programming language, meaning that we can have classes, inheritance, and you can have all those cool things. But C++ is an older language, which means the syntax is not as friendly. So you need to be very specific with everything, and you need to allocate memory, deallocate memory, and deal with garbage collection and a bunch of weird things. And even writing codes, like writing simple code, it's harder. It takes more time in general than C++. You need to have a header. It's a different language. They're completely different. If you know C++, you're gonna learn C# so easily. If you know C#, you're gonna learn C++, but it's not that easy to learn. And the C++ in Unreal is a different thing because it's not just traditional C++. You need to learn the specifics of the C++ there. Like they have specific macros that you need to put. So if you want to expose something in the editor, you need to mark that in a specific way. Things that Unity also has, like in C#, you have the same. You have the attributes and all that. But in C++, it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, they're completely different languages. And they are sharing some cool thing there, which is a comparison. Super cool. So you can, if you want more details, you can go there and see the comparison.
Yeah, thanks, Deon. I have a quick question, actually. I'm going to jump the line here. Do you know why Epic or Unreal Engine decided to go with C++ versus C#? And do you foresee them ever changing?
They're not changing. There are two reasons. So the first one is Rio is ancient.
Right.
It's a very old engine. Like it exists. It's as old as time. So at that time, C++ was the thing, and then that's why they created that. C++ is a lot more efficient than C#. It's a lot faster because it's closer to the hardware. So if you want performance, C++ is a lot better. And actually, when you write your code in C# in Unity, when you build the thing, there is a thing called IL2CPP, which is basically converting your C# into C++. So in the end, even Unity is using C++ for the final compiled game. It's just that you use your language. So there's a whole process. You write in C#. C# is converted into interpreted language, which is like an intermediate language. This language is interpreted in runtime while you're testing your stuff. But once you build for Windows or for Android, it's going to be converted into C++. And if you build to iOS, it's going to be converted into Objective-C or Swift. So in the end, everything is C++. It's just that with Unity, you write in C#, but C++ is a lot faster.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So if you learn C++, you're going right to the heart of it almost.
Yeah, it's still like a high level language, but it's lower level than C#. So the lower you go, the closest you are to the hardware, so the faster it is. And it's harder to learn because you need to deal with more stuff. So the lowest level possible is binary language. Like you just write zeros and ones, as people used to do with the cards that they like. I don't know the name of that thing, but back in the days, like you need to like put holes in cards to program. Just like indicating 0 and 1s. So you can still use 0 and 1s to program. It's so hard. Then there's like assembly language, which is a little bit higher level, but it's super low level. So it goes, if the language is super easy to write, it's probably very inefficient. Like Python, for example. It's very high level, so it's a lot less efficient than C++. And then in the end, we have like conversions and stuff. So yeah.
Holy smokes. Okay. down the rabbit hole a little bit. But okay, awesome. Next question is from Harold. So is using blueprints all you need to go with for projects, or do you need C++ for any limitations presented by blueprints, if any?
That's a good question. So you don't have limitations with blueprints. Blueprint is basically just like a visual language that reflects what C++ can do. So you can do everything you do with Blueprint with C++ as well, and vice versa. There are a couple of differences though. The first one is you don't have a lot of control on how that specific thing is being done, because there is a node that Unreal provides to you, and that node does something. You don't know exactly how it does that something. So if that's too slow for you, you might need to go into C++ and do your own implementation. So you have a little bit less control. And the second thing is, and that's my particular opinion, visual scripting gets really messy. Like you have a bunch of blueprints with a bunch of nodes. It looks like a spaghetti. So I am super uncomfortable with that. I'm a node person, maybe that's why. But I cannot keep a project with blueprints only, because I just get lost and then I don't know what's going on. And then to debug this, for me, it's really hard and slow. So I don't like blueprints very much, but that's me. So usually what I do is I mix them. So for things I want more control, more organization, more architecture, more structure, I just use the C++, and then I expose what I want into the nodes, and then I just give the nodes to get level designers or whoever is working that. So this is a cool thing about blueprints. Anyone can learn that even if they don't want to program or they don't know how to program. So you can create more nodes for your team, for designers, for level designers, game designers, so they can tweak the game without going into the code. So the two of them work really well. And one thing, one cool thing in UE5, Unreal 5, is that now it's easy to, if you have a blueprint project, to bring C++ and vice versa, because in Unreal 4, it was a nightmare. If you have like a blueprint project, you just cannot convert that into C++ in an easy way. So now it's more streamlined. You can add C++ to blueprints and blueprints to C++ projects a lot easier than it used to be in Unreal 4.
Oh, wow. Okay. Excellent. Next question is, how far can you get with just macros in UE5?
So I don't know what you're calling a macro there, or what you're considering a macro. So a macro in Unreal is basically just like a function or a sequence of nodes. They're just one way of organizing or organizing like a bunch of different functions in a blueprint. So basically, you can create functions or macros. The macros just is execution of a series of nodes. So you can use that to group things together. I think that's, I don't know if that's what you're naming macros there. Macro is a very, it means different things. But what I know macros are in Unreal, basically, in the blueprint system, you can create a macro that is basically like a group of instructions or a group of functions. So you can group them together and recall them. Like if you can say, for example, move forward, move left, move forward, move left. And then you create a macro that is like move forward and left after. And then you can just repeat those two instructions with one macro. That's basically what I do. So Cash is saying something here. I mentioned them earlier as a difference in C++ in Unreal versus regular. Oh, okay. So those properties, okay, that's what I was saying. Like if you want to expose a variable in the blueprint, or if you want to modify something in the editor, you can use those attributes. So those are also called macros because they're defined in the language, but they are like features of the Unreal that you need to learn. It took me a while to know all of them, like blueprint callable, blueprint this and that, and they have parameters. So they're just like a idiosyncrasy of the language, but yeah.
Okay, awesome. Next question is from Praise. So as a designer transitioning from creating 2D design stuff, what's the best way to understand 3D elements like perspective, lighting, etc., before learning Unreal Engine.
Design transition from creating to 3D stuff. What's the best way to understand 3D elements like perspective, lighting? The best way is actually trying. If you go to the Unreal Learn portal, they have like some intro to Unreal. They have like the first, I think it's called the first hour in Unreal, or the first couple hours in Unreal, something like that. It's a free set of videos that you can start experimenting. But I think the best way is actually like trying. And I understand the complexity there, because it's a lot of new concepts, right? Like if you're used to working in 2D and you're moving into 3D, you're gonna need to learn perspective, as you said, and or orthographic cameras, and what is the frustum, and 3D, the three dimensions, and moving things, and scale, and local versus global, and all that. So it takes time, but it's something you keep building on top of the experience. So what I would do is download a Unity or Unreal, start creating primitives, moving them, rotating them. And then if you are not certain about a concept, for example, hey, lights, let me create here a point light. And what is the difference between a point light and a spotlight? And then you keep building on top of that. So any intro to engine is going to give you an overview of what you need, and they're pretty similar. So if you go either to Unreal or Unity, you're going to learn what is the world space, what the camera works, how the camera clips the scene, and what are the primitives, and how to move them around, and how are materials. So I would recommend going to the Unreal tutorials and just getting this first hour in Unreal thing. It's going to give you lots of questions, and then you know what to ask for and what to look for. But it's a process. It takes time, and you build that progressively.
Excellent. So I can kind of answer this question. As a developer, could you please describe a healthy working relationship between yourself and a XR user designer? So maybe you want to shed some light on that. I'm going to post one of our workshops was exactly on this topic by Alitha. So she's one of our instructors as well. And she, comes from more of like the design specific background. So I'll post that, and you can have a look at that workshop. But what do you have to say on the subject here?
That's a good question, and I think the first thing, the workshop is a really good resource because they dissect that, they go in depth into that. But one of the things I would say is that first, you need to understand the roles and responsibilities. You don't need to be like, if you're a developer, you don't need to know how to do what a designer does and vice versa, but you need to be empathic. Like you need to know what they do and the importance of that, and work with respect. So it starts with there. If you value the work of your peers, you're gonna learn to work with them and understand what they do and why this is important and how you can contribute. So it also goes into the respect and the communication and understanding how to collaborate with them. It's a complicated question, like on a day-to-day, but I think that's what I would value and start with. And then if you watch the workshop, you're gonna have a lot more insights on that too. So I will be able to only answer one more question. I have someone waiting for me for 10 minutes. So if there is one last question, I will unfortunately need to wrap up, but let's do one more.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So yeah, if you guys have more questions like these, like feel free to contact one of our enrollment advisors. They would be happy to answer them or relay the question to get a good answer for you. So are the licensing options more advantageous in Unreal Engine 5 than Unity's?
That's a hard question because it depends on your business, it depends on what you're doing, it depends on a bunch of different things. So the main difference is in Unity, you pay a license, like a fee per year, depending on the size of the company and your company, and they don't have any profit on your profit. So if you're paying for the license, that's it, and that's it. Whereas Unreal, depending on the threshold, like how much you're doing, if you're distributing your software, they're gonna get 5%. Not sure if they updated, they can change, but they get like a percentage of your profit. So it depends. Are you making billions? Maybe I don't think Unreal is gonna be the best options. But if you're not making billions, maybe it is. So it depends. It's not like black and white. It depends on your business. It depends on what you're doing. It depends on the scale of what you're doing. So, so yeah, Yeah, so someone is detailing, I think that's what I said too, like 5% after 1 million you earn. Whereas in Unity, they don't care how much you make. They just want you to pay yearly 1,800 something. So it depends. This is a hard question. It depends. And now it also depends on what you're doing, right? Like the licensing should not be your decision, your point of decision. It depends. Like you're doing a console next gen super realistic game, you probably want to use Unreal. You're doing like a mobile casual game, you probably want to use Unity. So and there are other factors too, like experience in your team. Like are you able to hire qualified Unity developers or Unreal developers? So it really depends on what you're doing and the functionalities you need and the speed that you need. So I would not make a decision based on the licensing only, but it's hard to say which one is better because it really depends. It really depends. But both of them have free options. So Unity is free for personal use, so you can use that for yourself. And Unreal is free too. If you're not making any money out of that, so you can experiment both and make a decision based on more information.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Jerry. I know both both Unity and Unreal Engine have these kind of breakdowns laid out on their site. So if you if you look into the licensing options, you can kind of see a good image of what the differences would be. I know the free versions have their kind of like thresholds of basically money earned, where they would get almost a royalty from it. So so that's typically how the free versions are operating in either case. But yeah, okay, Jerry, we will let you go. Please, please, if you guys have questions that you really want answered, yeah, reach out to our enrollment advisors, and again, we'd be happy to answer those questions directly, or if you need more of a technical answer, then we can certainly relay them to our instructors as well. But for now, that is all for today, folks. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, thank you, Jerry, for the workshop. And we will look forward to seeing you at our next workshop.
All right, thanks for having me. If you have any questions, just feel free to contact me, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.